Hi everyone, it's Linda from Linda Z's and my daughter Debbie doing the camera.
We're back.
We are going to have an absolute wonderful event for you today. It is a project. It's going to take longer because I wanted you to see all the steps and how to do it. I want to start first of all by showing you what we're going to do. This is called the Sweet Scissor Cases, and here's a couple of examples of them.
By Hope Yoder.
Well, and it's on R&K. It's on our website, so you can get it there. And you can see this is the little strawberry one, and this is the little scissor one. And one of
they're both scissors, like scissors in the design.
Right.
They're both for scissors though.
Yep, they're both for scissors.
Okay.
And there's a CD, and what I do is I take the CD and then I load it onto my stick, and depending upon what machine, these USBs are really wonderful because of the fact that they have the right chip in them. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but there's an important technology in there so that you don't crash your designs. I can't explain it totally, but it's a good one. So I take the CD and I transfer it into the USB. There are, I think, one of the best things that has happened from, this is Quilter Select, again we have it on our website. It's absolutely phenomenal because it's pre-wound bobbins. Now most of you that know that work with any of the work that I've done know that I normally, if I'm working on a brother, I am going to do this one on a brother. I could have done it on my Bernina or my 10 needle, but I am doing it today on the Brother Luminaire. And you can use it on any embroidery machine that you have, but I love the pre-wound bobbins. Normally I use the brother when I'm doing a brother project with black and white pre-wounds. But the reason I like them, and you'll see that when I talk about it, is that they're wound very tightly. So you get more on it, it's easier to do than when you do it yourself. We're going to start out with putting this in the hoop. And I'm sure you've seen this before. This is no-show mesh, and it's non-fusible. There's no stickiness or no fuse on the back, and that's what we're going to hoop the hoop with. And then you are going to, during the course of this little thing, it doesn't take very long, but I just wanted you to have the steps so you see how to do it. Floriani makes something called Heat and Stay Fusible. If you look at the back, you can see the fusible right away. There are other products out there. When I do a really... is
that like a batting?
It's like a batting, okay. Right. And when I do these kinds of tests, I use 4 or 5 different brands because we carry quite a few.
You have another Heat and Stay too.
Exactly, yeah. And I have another brand that I use too. So this is the one that we have found that really, really works well when you're doing projects like this. The other thing that I have here is something called Deco Magic. Now, Deco Magic is a heavier product, and it's going to go, if you look at the back of these, it goes in the back because it's nice and sturdy. The Heat and Fuse stabilizer, which is a fleece, is on the front. And you can see it's in there too. So the little scissors pop right in there, and it really gives it a nice hand. There is a little eyelet in here that I take. You're going to, as you get to the end, you're going to use something like this. You might already have it at home. It's called a Heat and Craft tool, and I'll show it again in the when I'm actually going through the steps. See that little curve there? Or you can do the straight one too, but I like the curved one because you heat it up about 5 or 6 minutes, and then I just go right around the edge of the design, and it is just wonderful. So you'll see what I'm talking about when I get to that project. I use the waltz pressing cloth. On this particular project, I wouldn't be without this. I have one here, I've opened it up. This is a great one. It just feels good. I wish you could see it, but it's just a fabulous pressing cloth. The other thing that I've done is this is the type of product that you're going to need. Not a lot of fabric, a 5 by 4 or 4 by 5, I believe 4 by 4 maybe, and a 6 by 5. So and you'll need 4 of these. 2 of these on the smaller ones and 2 of the bigger ones. It goes in a 5 by 7 hoop, and I would not be without this perfection tape. And I'll talk about that at the very end of the video when I show you how to use it, because I think it'll mean more to you. This is a water-soluble topper, and we have the OESD topper too. That's also very, very good, so you could use either one. Then another technique that I do, and I haven't had time to show you all these, and that's why I wanted to really go through a lot of individual steps. You can see what I've done here. I line up my colors. That was the colors for this one, and now I've lined up the colors for this one. And I take my Hugo tape and I cut it in half, because if you notice, all of these are wrapped, so the threads aren't hanging out all over the place. And this is a wonderful way. I keep an empty one always just for my project that I'm doing right now, so that I can have the colors all on hand. They're all ready to go in the order that they're there. And then I have an extra one if I need it, because I know I had black here somewhere and I didn't put it on there. So there was black on the little strawberry. And you're going to see I'm going to do another one on green, which will be kind of fun too. But the project I'm going to start today is with the yellow. And the first, you're going to take the smaller square, and you're going to take that heat and fuse, which I have already cut out, and you're going to fuse that onto the back of the square. It's going to be bigger than this. And you're going to take your iron, but the key thing is to take your press cloth and press it down.
Okay.
Just press. Okay, so now we'll go to the machine. I'll show you the hoop and we'll see how it works.
Okay.
So as you can see, the hoop is in the machine, but before we get started on it, I want to actually show you something over here that's pretty elementary, but again, I think some of you need to see this. This is the USB stick that I transferred the designs onto from the CD. So all the designs are on that stick. Now I plug that in and I go into the machine and I touch the embroidery part, which then brings up all this menu, and I'm going to go down to the little pocket, and then I'm going to go up to the USB. And the designs that I put in there are all there. There are a couple of different types of scissor cases you could make, but this particular one, we're going to do this one first because it has a little scissor on it. You can see it, maybe you can't see it up there real well. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead, and if you look down here, I'm going to set this. And then you'll see what comes up is the actual design of this first part of the scissor kit. So I'm going to go ahead and touch embroidery, which was down at the bottom. And the very first stitching that comes up is this outline stitching. And it does have a dark thread, but I'm going to actually use that thread, if you can see, that is going to make that stitching. I'm going to just touch my little button. It's all ready to go. I've threaded my machine prior. And it's just going to make an outline of the outside. Now, the reason I wanted you to see this, you can see that it's, I think you can see it even though it's a light colored thread. This is the color of the sample that I'm going to be using. And now I've got the fusible on the back, the lightweight, or not the lightweight, the Heat and Stay, I don't know, whatever name is. We have a list of everything I've put on here. So the reason that I want the yellow thread though is it'll match the actual piece of the fabric better. And the other thing that I've done, and I'm just going to take this out because it's cut the thread and everything. And if you look at the bobbin, you'll see that I put in there one of those already threaded bobbins from Quilter Selector from R&K. They're just fabulous. They're packed real tight. Let's see if I can reach over here and grab one that I used before of my own, which I did myself. And I know how to wind my bobbins pretty well, but you see, no matter how good you are, it's not going to get as tight or as compact as what this is. So if you can ever use these pre-wound bobbins, the only reason to really use it, of course, is because when I'm doing this design, I want the thread to be the same color as the actual design when I'm doing the outside edge. So what I'll do is I'll put this back on and go to the next step. Now, if you notice, there's another outline stitch, and it's in a different color, but I'm going to use the same yellow because it's going to really be very attractive for the color of the fabric that I'm using. Again, I would use the bobbins for brother if in the white and the black if I wasn't really trying to match the actual color. So now this, with the fleece on the back, the fusible fleece is on there, gives it a little bit of body. And I'm gonna go ahead and push my little button because it's ready to go. I can give it a little, you know, just a little pressure to hold it to make sure that it's going well. But I'm sure it's not gonna move. And I made sure that the fabric was covering the actual design, the outline stitching. So now you can see that little, almost looks like a heart. The outline stitching is done. And now when I bring it back to the machine, the next thing we're going to do is do the designs in the embroidery designs in there. And you'll see the first color, which I'm going to do, let's make that kind of like a little country French look maybe. And I'll do some blues and maybe some French blue and some navy and whatever. There's 3 colors, so there's not a lot. But that's your first color, and then you go back down. Now, I want to let you know, and one of the reasons I'm trying to show you this is you can go ahead, and this is a great way for you to be creative and use your own colors. Choose what you really like. You saw what I did on the other 2 scissor cases that I did, or at least the one I showed you. And this particular one does have 3 colors in it. Well, there's a little gold in the center for the flower, so I would use that. But you go ahead and look at the amount of colors that you need for your actual design, and I choose what you like. And that way you can go ahead and have some fun with this. So I'll get started. I'm going to change it to the I believe we'll change it to the navy thread for the scissors. That's kind of fun. And then once that design's done, I'll show you what we do next. Now the design in the front little pocket is almost done. If you look over here on the screen, you will see it's not quite finished yet. And you can see now there is another layout design for an outline stitching. So I'm going to turn the hoop over and show you what I did. I put the liner of the pocket right on the back. Got a little crease on it, but I don't think that'll matter too much. And then I took the Floriani Perfection tape, which you definitely need. And here's a little tip that I hope everybody understands. When you're using this tape, press it down on the outside. It'll never come up on the front, but it's these little corners that can catch on your needle on any embroidery machine. Just press them down real firm. You can see I'm really going after that, really getting them down there. And then you can turn your hoop over and slide it in. And now what we're going to do is just go ahead, you want to get that underneath there. And we're going to go ahead and close that lever, because if you don't close your lever, you're not going to start. You can see the green button is ready to go. And we're just going to do another outline. As soon as that outline is finished, I'm going to take the hoop off, trim it on both sides, and then I'll show you what we do from there. As you can see now, the design has been finished, or the pocket, not the whole design, of course. And you can see what happened here. I want to point this out because when I went around, what I did is I came around and I stopped right here. And the reason I stopped, I had actually started with the blue thread, which I don't want. I wanted to put the yellow thread, the same color as the fabric, so that it would run around before I trim it. And that way, that if I don't catch the trimming right up to the edge, it at least will show the yellow rather than the blue. I just left it. It wasn't worth cutting out this small piece, but I just wanted you to be aware of that. And then what I've done, you can see I've trimmed it very closely on the front and the back. And then the last step of this pocket was the little design around the top, which I put with one of the other colors. So now this pocket, in order to really finish it, I'm going to take it out of the hoop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and use this Floriani tool. It's a heat set tool. It has a little curved piece around here. I'm not going to show you on the actual design, but it'll go all the way around the pocket, and it'll just take it away from the stabilizer. It'll just melt it away. Now I've actually taken the rounded little tip of that tool and cut out the little front pocket, and I wanted you to see what it looked like. You can see there's the stabilizer. And here is the finished little piece of the pocket. So you can see that's the first completed part of the project. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go do the second hooping. So this has all been done in the first hooping. So this is what the stabilizer looks. I keep it in the hoop when I go around and do the, use the little tool. But the second part, if you can see, I pulled up the USB design again, and you know that we did this one first. That's this little, let's see, let me show it to you again. You can see it, that's kind of hard to see it that close, but you can see that's the color. And I just touch the design, which I don't want to do. So I'll return it, go back, go into my USB. So this is the one that I have done first. Now this is the backing of the scissor case. So I want to touch that design and show you what happens when it comes up in the machine. It's real cute. See the little scissor up there? Now the first thing that we're going to do when that comes up and we've got the design is we're going to set it. So we're going to go down here and touch the set. And then you can see we've got the embroidery up there. And of course, what we do is we're going to touch embroidery and look at the first color. You'll see that it's just a dark color. Now you know by doing the first one that you want it the same color as the fabric that you were doing. Your thread should be the same color. So here's the outline stitch, and I've already done that for you because I wanted you to see how easy that is. See, this is the outline stitch. And now I'm going to put this, I'm going to actually leave it out because I want to run through the colors and show you what we're going to do next. But what we will do once I put it in the hoop, I will actually cover that. I have this yellow fabric, which is the backing with the Deco Magic already on it. And I will tell you, I have tried numerous types of different types of stabilizer, and the Deco Magic is absolutely the best. I tried soft and stable. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do, but this, for this project, and quite frankly, when you're doing some of these banners and, you know, some of these other things, we're going to do some other projects using the Deco Magic and the Heat and Stay Fleece, because I tried other products. We have a lot of other Pellon products and everything, and they're great for other things, but the Heat and Stay Fusible Fleece is absolutely, there's no substitute for it. I couldn't find anything as thick or that would handle it as well. So now I want to run through the design part because this is the back. And what I'm going to do, you can see this is a screen up here that shows you where the outline is that I've already done. But there's a little button down here that I think is really key, and some of your other machines might have this too. See this plus and minus? I'm going to touch it, and then you see what happens is it comes up with all these plus and minuses, but there's little buttons, little arrows up here that are really important. And it shows you this arrow, because I could do this before I do the design, so I know exactly what I'm doing. This is the first color, which is what I just did over here. You see, as the outline. Now I'm going to cover that up and watch what the next thing is going to be. And when I push this down arrow, you go to the next color. Oh, well, look at that. It's another outline. And why would I want another outline? Because I need to attach this fabric to this stabilizer. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do the same kind of shape right along there. The next thing that is going to happen, now that you can do that, I'm going to do it in the yellow because that's the color. But look at what comes up next. Now we're going to be doing the embroidery. And if you look at this design, there's quite a few little embroidery, real cute, real sweet little design with we're going to do the scissor part first. You can see that, and the colors are all put on there for you. Then I'm going to go down and I'm going to touch the next color, which shows you the outline of the little flowers. And then it'll just go down the whole entire part for you there. The next one is going to be those two little flower points in the center of the flower. The next one will be the two little roses. And this is just a great way for you to preview before you're doing your designs what's going on. Now, wonder why we would have another outline stitching. Can anybody think why? Because once we've done the embroidery and the design, we're going to put another fabric on the back. And of course, we're going to need that outline stitching for that. Don't you think? It would be important. And then the next one is going to be the placement. So can you see that little kind of like a heart there? That's the shape of this. And what that is going to do is we're going to be able to place it right on the backing so we know exactly where it's going to go. And when I get to that point, I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'll go ahead and stitch this out for you ahead of time, but I wanted you to see how simple this is to do. The last stitch, and this is the very last one, is going to be a nice zigzag stitch. You can see it all the way around the outside of that design. You'll see there's a satin stitch, a zigzag first, and then there's a little eyelet up here, and then the satin stitch will come up. So you see the very last stitch. So a really, really cute little project. Again, it's a very easy thing to do, but I wanted to walk you through the steps because I really want beginners to be able to do this. It really isn't a difficult project, but you do have to watch the steps, and it'll teach you some technique as you're going along. So I'm going to go ahead now and put this back into the machine. You can see I can even do it with one hand. And of course, the carriage is going to move, but of course, I don't want it back on that. I'm going to move back to the beginning, right up here. And you can see now I've already done my one stitch, so I don't need that one again. Now I'm going to hit this stitch. And I want to keep the yellow on there because of the fact that, again, I want this outline stitch that attaches this fabric to the stabilizer to be the same color. Remember the one I showed you when we were doing the pocket and I forgot to change the thread and I had a partial outline of another color? Well, we're not going to make that mistake again. So now I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and touch my button and get it started, and then I'll be back after the design is done. You can see that the outline stitching has been done and it's been trimmed close. And then the outline stitching for the front is also here where that little heart is going to go. So now I'm going to take that, and if you notice I put a little piece of Perfect Stick on the back. You could use the white or the one that we use to hold the fabrics in place, but this one works really well. Just going to hold it down there. And now before, I could go and do this zigzag stitch now all the way around here, but this is quite heavy here and here. So one of the best things to do is to take it to your board and put a layer of water-soluble topper over it and tape it down with the actual perfection tape. And you can see, I'm going to take this off, and what's really cool about this, it's already been taped on the back, or it's already been trimmed on the back too. So I'll take my hoop off and I'll put the tape on and start stitching, and then I'll show you what it looks like. We're almost finished. Now this is what I really wanted you to see, is this perfection tape, and I like to cut it with a scissor when I put it on here. And see the water-soluble topper on here? And I put it down real firm. I pull it real nice and tight. And look at how nice this satin stitch has gone around. Remember, this is quite heavy here. And I have just got a regular 75 needle, 75 or 80, whichever you use, embroidery needle. Now the machine, I'm going to start it, and the machine is going to slow down right before it goes over that bump. So it's pretty cool what that does. And then I'll bring it back to our board and we'll finish up and show you a couple of other little things. Okay, we are back, and this is what I was talking about. You saw it in the hoop. And I'm going to show you something because I think this is really important to see. See how I'm pulling this off all around the design? Keep these. These are wonderful. You don't need to get rid of these. You can pull it off later, and I'll stick it and keep it. The basing, of course, comes off of here. I will trim that real closely. I can't stress enough, guys, how important these scissors are. This scissor right here, if there's no other reason, everyone should have this in their stash. And the reason for this one is it's different than the other duckbill.
It's this.
Can you see it?
This,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
I'll
that
just
one
show
there.
them this one. Whoops.
And you know,
Sorry, guys. I'm
hold
trying
it for
to flip
you.
it up. Hold that
There
flipped
you
up
go.
so I can actually get the
Yeah,
title
it's
of it.
called a wave
Applique scissors.
applique. And I have the duckbills too, which I think are wonderful. But this kind of a project, you have now see how I've got a little extra here. I wanted to show you that so you can see. I'm going to trim that away. And this is great. And this, I'll do the bulk with this one because I can get right in there. And this is absolutely the most wonderful scissor in the world to get in there and really, really trim close. I mean, you can't even imagine how you can get in there and trim that little baby. So these are really, really, look at what I just did, even without even any light. You can see I've got the topper on here right now, and I could leave that on, but before I finish this, I'm going to take this tool that we talked about before, and I'm going to take that round part and just go right around and leave it in the hoop when you do that. I leave it on a surface like this and go around it, and then it's real easy. It'll pop out, and then you'll have this wonderful little scissor that you can use for all your little tiny ones. If you don't want to drop them, that's why. Let me get one right now.
Okay.
My last quick one. This is only for threads. And of course it goes in here too. And what's wonderful about these little scissors is I did put the little eyelet, and I take the tip of that applique tool right here, and I push it right through. It's hot, and it'll go all the way through, and then you can put your lanyard on there, or you could clip on there, or you can just leave it like it is and put it in your suitcase.
Or ribbon or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. It's a gift for yourself. Another one that I will be doing is cork. And then I'm going to use the batik as the little pocket. So lots of fun things for you. Just enjoy this. This is kind of the type of thing we're going to be doing in our video studio in the future. And I wanted to give you a little taste of longer ones. Okay? Enjoy, guys.
Okay, bye.